But at least it opened.
Oh, yeah, it'll open, it just doesn't want to close again. The cold, works thing.
I had that problem. I had a neighbor that cut down a tree.
Yeah.
And so when at certain times of the year, it doesn't happen anymore, but the sun setting shines right into that sensor. And so I've got to block or do some shade the sun from that sensor.
I totally can see what.
Yeah, because it blinds the sensor.
Yeah.
We're on 6 o'clock.
We are at 6 o'clock.
Okay. You guys ready? I call the January 28th, 2026 Area Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the roll call.
Ed Butts. Present. Steve Clevenger.
Present.
Brad Halberg.
Present.
Robert Novak.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Tim Vanderplaats.
Present.
Quorum present. My name's Eric Burns. I'm the attorney for the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I would like to open the floor for nominations for president for the Board of Zoning Appeals for the year 2026. Is there such a nomination?
I move to nominate Steve Clevenger for president.
We have one nomination, Steve Clevenger. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I would declare that the nominations are closed.
How about we take a second for that motion? Not that it makes a big deal.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Not necessary, but appreciated. And I would like to ask for a voice vote on Steve Clevenger to be the president for 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? 6-0 is the vote in favor, and I'll turn the floor over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I will now take nominations for office for the vice president.
I move to nominate Robert Novak for vice president.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I move that the nominations for vice president be closed. Or do I hear a motion for that?
I'll move that nominations for vice president be closed.
Second that.
And we have a second.
And I move to cast a unanimous ballot for Robert Novak for vice president.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor to cast a unanimous ballot for Robert Novak for vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations. I'll request nominations for the office of secretary.
I move that Eric Burns be nominated for secretary.
Second.
I move that nominations for secretary be closed.
Second.
I move to cast a unanimous ballot for Eric Burns for secretary.
Second.
All in favor to cast a unanimous ballot for Eric Burns for secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you.
We have our officers set. Our next item is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the December 3rd, 2025 BZA public hearing as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved as submitted. New business.
Okay, we of course have one withdrawn case, so there's no action needed there. That was withdrawn by the petitioner. BZA 2218 is missing some check-in paperwork, and I don't anticipate it being able to be delivered in time. So I think we're looking at a continuance on that case to next month. So the petitioner's representative is here unless they have any additional information. We'll go ahead and kick this out another month.
I've been in the office multiple times, asked everybody what I needed.
Okay.
I thought that I got the documents you needed.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Did you want us to go ahead and continue that, or did you want us to move it to the end of the agenda?
Whatever affidavit they need. I've done everything else that they asked me to do. I even had,
Yeah. What is the paperwork again?
It's the affidavits
get by with that one
The
piece of paper?
the sign posting affidavit is missing, so, and so,
Well, I'd be comfortable doing it contingent on that being received in appropriate order, whatever action you take. I mean, if you approve it, then it comes in. If you deny it, it sort of didn't matter. But I think that's fine. Whatever action you take is conditional on receiving that. I'm not aware of a bylaw that would prohibit that, but
Neither am I.
it doesn't clear it. It doesn't cover it in the bylaws, which means you folks are free to
So
do
we're
as
to-
you wish.
Okay.
I would suggest if you want to do that, it would be by motion and a second, just for the record.
Right, and we'll take care of that when we get to that.
get to
item.
that case, okay. The other case is ready to be heard, 2219.
Anything else?
No, just that the Mayor West Lafayette is still aware of our vacancy and is diligently working to find a replacement, so I'll keep you posted.
Nice to get a seventh member.
Yes, yes, this is a seven-member body. I know you're
Yeah.
getting used to the sixth thing, but we need a tie-breaking vote, so, okay.
All right,
Thank you for your patience.
thank you. And I'll go ahead and take the public hearing motion.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the application to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would like to briefly discuss our procedures for this evening. And first of all, if you're here for BZA 2217 Dunbar Electric, that is in Dayton, that has been withdrawn and will not be heard. So the petitioner has withdrawn that. Our procedures are as follows. Each case will be heard following a motion and a second from the board. We will ask staff to report on its findings. Following the staff report, we will ask the petitioner to present his or her case, after which anyone wishing to support the petitioner's request for a variance or special exception will be asked to come forward. After hearing from the petitioner and those speaking on his or her behalf, we will ask those speaking against the petition to present their arguments. The petitioner will then be allowed to rebut arguments raised by those in opposition to his or her petition. Following the rebuttal, the board may wish to ask questions of the petitioner, supporters, and opponents of the petition or of the staff. The staff will have the opportunity at this time to make any necessary clarifying comments. We will then vote by use of a prescribed ballot. 4 votes are necessary to make any decision. In the absence of 4 votes, either for or against, the petition is automatically continued to the next meeting. Please observe the following guidelines for the sake of time and fairness to all. State your name and ask an address for the record before you speak. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes or less. Do not repeat arguments that have been brought up by others. Remember that all visual aids will be used to support your arguments will remain the property of the board. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. Please step out of the room before using your cell phone. With that in mind, we will hear the first case. And I guess before we do that, I would like to entertain a motion that we hear the case contingent on receiving the affidavit of signposting. And do we need a deadline for that? Like, I mean,
I think it's small, I didn't know that gave that. I don't know at all.
Before the end of the day, Friday?
for the end of the day on Friday?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome to me. And I,
Did you say just a piece of paper that I need to sign and have
Notarized.
that's it? No problem.
did you have any comments, Eric, on?
No, I have no comments. I think the motion should include the fact that the special exception, if voted affirmatively tonight, is not effective until the signposting affidavit is received in good order, and that the staff will note the file if and when the affidavit is received. That's my only comment, so I would ask that that be part of the motion. Are we good on that?
Yes.
So we don't need necessarily a deadline as long as.
Well, it's Friday,
By Friday is what, okay.
That's what we agreed.
and Friday
That's what
is
you've
the-
agreed to, okay.
What's our date?
Today is the 28th.
30th.
This Friday. So
which would be the
we're-
30th.
Friday.
All in that motion, correct? As far as the minutes, we good on the motion?
Well, we haven't had a motion yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
he recommended
The wording of the
the wording
motion.
of the motion, and that it be received by 4:30 on Friday,
30th.
the 30th
Yep.
of January.
It'll be,
And can we have a motion, or is that part of the motion then, or is that
That's all part of the motion.
part of the motion to hear it then?
That is correct.
Okay. Go ahead and read it and then add her.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2218 KCB Giles petitioner on behalf of owner Octavio Gaeta requests a special exception to legalize an existing transient house, SIC 702, for a maximum of 6 guests in a single-family dwelling operating 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. The A-zoned property is located a quarter-mile north of the intersection of 650 North and North 50 West, more commonly known as 6682 North 50 West, Tippecanoe 19, Northwest 24-4. Also, voting on this case will be contingent upon the petitioner submitting a sign posting affidavit by Friday, 5 p.m.,
4:30.
Friday at 4:30 p.m. If approved, it does not come into effect until that sign affidavit is presented. Is there anything else?
That does it. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we'll hear from staff, please.
Good evening, Christine Rail, APC staff. So this home was built in 2000 as a single-family residence and is on just over an acre lot and is zoned agricultural along with the other surrounding properties. And there's floodplain zoning to the east from the Burnett's Creek. The location is just north of Battleground Middle School and Harrison High School and has been used as a transient guest house since November of 2017. Petitioner was under the impression that they were grandfathered in as a transient guest rental, but they just missed the transient guest rental amendment by a few months. The amendment was passed August of 2017. Staff opened a case after a complaint was made in January of 2024 about the property listed on Airbnb without a special exception. This log cabin-styled home has 5 bedrooms. Staff confirmed with the health department that the septic is only big enough for a 3-bedroom home and designed with a capacity of 6 people, since the health department standards assume up to 2 people per bedroom. The original petition said there would be a maximum of 12 guests in the house, but the owner changed the petition to read 6 guests after learning of the septic size. Staff has discovered the listing on Airbnb website, and it says a rustic log cabin near Purdue hosts a wedding. Says 16-plus guests allowed according to Airbnb.com. The site plan shows the cabin, a hot tub, and shed. The petitioner said there is enough room for 8 to 10 cars. Due to the tests being met, staff is recommending approval only if the following condition and commitments are met. Condition, a permit to operate the transient guest house must be obtained from the AO for Tippecanoe County. Commitments must be recorded with the Tippecanoe County Recorder's Office, and the commitments are occupancy shall be limited to 6 guests with no more than 3 guests at any, 3 unrelated guests at any given time. There shall be no parties or events exceeding the 6-guest limit, and the dwelling may only be reserved for a single booking at any given time. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Petitioner, his or her representative, please come forward and state your name and address and state your case.
My name is Casey Giles, and I've been managing that home since its existence in
Do you have
2017.
an address?
What's that?
What, your address?
My postal address?
Yes.
212 Cellar Court, Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
It's been a good home, and I'd just like to continue managing it. I did think it was grandfathered in because another one of my houses was, but that was my mistake.
Anything else?
I don't really know how to do these kind of meetings. Any specific
We
questions?
may have some questions for you.
That's fine.
After we ask to see if there's anyone else wishing to speak.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition?
Good evening. My name is Octavio Gaeta. I reside at 1511 North Salisbury Street in West Lafayette. I am the homeowner along with my wife. We purchased this home from Casey in 2021. And at the time that we purchased it, it was already operating as an Airbnb. Our interest was more in the lot up front. We had a survey done. We parceled off 2 acres off the front lot, and our thought was in the future to build our primary residence there. We have not done that yet, but we did lease the property back to Casey, and that's why he continues to manage it as he did before. So my involvement on the Airbnb side and property management side is, pretty disconnected from there. However, I help whenever I can if there's any issues with the home, or if, the water's not hot or something like that. I go out there and deal with that more as the homeowner. But Casey oversees a lot of the property management stuff and has more direct contact with the individuals that come and book through Airbnb and other platforms like that. I did sign off once learning that the septic system was not appropriate for those amount of people. We took the recommendation of the staff, and I didn't speak with public health directly, but I trust that they said it was 6, so I changed it to 6 and initialed, and I'm good with whatever requirements need to be met to be able to continue operating this legitimately. And I guess that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition to the petition? Questions, comments from the board?
Steve, and maybe it's clear, but I'm not clear on that. So is this approval with the commitments that it is limited to 6 guests with no more than 3 unrelated guests? Is that part of the case?
That is my understanding.
That's the commitments.
That's the condition, or do we need to vote on those?
That's a commitment as part of the report. It's being submitted with those
Okay.
commitments intact, and I'm comfortable with that.
And is that, are those, if you want to come forward again, please?
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
That 3 unrelated thing, I thought that was just in West Lafayette School District.
It's countywide,
Is it the whole county?
yeah.
Okay.
Are you okay with the conditions and the
Yeah,
commitment?
I just didn't
Okay.
know, I didn't know that was, and that had anything to do with Airbnbs. I thought it was just in West Lafayette.
It has to do with the definition of a unit in the zoning ordinance.
I got you. Thank you.
If you want to stay up, we may have some more questions for you. Did you have one, Ed?
No.
No? Okay. Robert?
To better understand the business relationship between yourself and the homeowner, do you just manage the Airbnb, or have you leased the house back from the homeowner and it's totally in your possession, and you either Airbnb it, live in it, or do you actually have a lease for the property, or do you just manage it for the Airbnb part?
I pay him a flat fee. I pay him every month. We do have a lease, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if neighbors or anybody else,
Was it a lease? Yeah.
So if neighbors or anybody else would have a problem with the operation of the Airbnb, you would be the person that they would be
They
going
would
to.
contact me.
And also with what your previous postings were, you're okay with the fact of what about, you were saying about hosting weddings, it sounded like you're out in the county.
That was just, yeah, that was the way I advertised it when I first started the business. It just hadn't been changed.
But with this, you know that you
We can no
can't
longer do
have
that.
large parties out there? Thank you.
I'm assuming that you're going to change the listing to
Yeah, I've
update.
already changed it on Airbnb to 6. I did that today.
You did that today? Okay, awesome. And I'm assuming, yeah, the weddings would fall under the agricultural rental hall, correct? I mean, if you can't have, I mean, if you have events,
Yeah, that's
So
a
that-
different,
that's something-
different
that's a
sort of
different-
approval
a different
that they're not
approval that-
approved for with
Correct.
this
This is-
petition.
this is strictly for,
This is for transient
Transient
guest
guest
house
rental.
use only,
correct?
unless they want to go back to renting month to month or greater, then
Right.
that's unregulated.
Correct. Any other questions? I have none, so we have a ballot. You have to sign it?
Six ballots cast, 6 yes votes.
Special exception has been approved, again contingent on getting that affidavit to staff by Friday, and the other commitments and condition. Thank you.
Yeah, you're unable to do that. Yeah.
And take a motion for the next case, please.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2219 Heber Real Estate. Petitioner and owner requests a special exception to legalize an existing transient guest house, SIC 702, for a maximum of 8 guests in one unit of a two-family dwelling operating 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. The R2 zone property is Lot 3 of the Harold Bays Minor subdivision, more commonly known as 4939 North River Road, Tippecanoe 33, Northeast 24-4.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. We'll hear from staff, please.
All right. Well, you can see here from the map, the zoning is kind of mixed up a little bit. We have some heavy industrial zoning to the north, Upriver Road, and then agricultural zoning, R1 zoning, A zoning, R3 zoning, even floodplain zoning. So, but this is R2, the duplex zone, which also permits single-family homes as well. Here's a little closer look at the lot. We kind of talk a little bit about the history there, but the site's access, of course, is off River Road, as you can see. The site is served by septic and well, the existing duplex building. The proposed use would be, one of the units has a long-term renter who's been leasing the property or leasing that unit, that would continue. And then, so this is applying, this request is for the other unit. In terms of parking, there is plenty on site, both within the area that's kind of already left there and then some other areas off site, as long as they stay out of the septic field. The home itself is 1,300 square feet with 3 bedrooms, the subject unit. Then, of course, the other unit has a longer-term lease on it, same disposition. Nothing else in particular with the site. We are imposing similar terms from previous requests and commitments. It's all laid out in the report here. And they are here today to, similar to the previous case, legitimize a situation as a result of a zoning violation and operating without a permit. And so, other than that, in our opinion, the standards have been met in terms of the UZO standards, and the proposed use will not subvert the general purposes of our ordinance, nor will there be any injury to property or others as a result of permitting this use because of the following A through D in terms of traffic generation, et cetera. So staff, once again, is recommending approval with the following commitments and condition. The condition being to obtain a permit from the AO for Tippecanoe County, and then the commitments, the 3 of them, reserved, the unit may only be reserved for a single booking at a time, occupancy limited to 6 guests with no more than 3 unrelated at a time, sounding familiar. And then there's also hours of operation, quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. on the weekends. So, happy to answer any questions.
Just a clarification, it is 6 guests with a motion, actually, we read it had 8 guests. So it is limited to 6 guests.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah, it is limited to 6. I'm sorry. And I can, some images of the property here and the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Petitioner, petitioner's representative.
My name is Linda Sigler. I live at 1916 Stark Circle in Lafayette. I have been property manager for Heber Real Estate for nearly 20 years. We purchased this particular property in 2019, and we had been told from the prior owner that it was already approved for Airbnb. This was a surprise to us. We maintain the property. We own and maintain the driveway. Our driveway is approximately the same length as a city block, so there is no drag racing or anything like that going on. It is a gravel driveway also, so that also helps deter any speeders. We've never had any issues. We've rarely had more than 6 guests. We currently have 3 guests. They are HVAC people. One of them brought his wife. They're here in town to install HVAC systems in new constructions. So, that's basically what we get. Our Purdue parents coming to see their student or construction people. We do not allow parties. We do not allow events. I monitor very closely. We have 3 exterior cameras, and I monitor them very, very closely, just to ensure that the rules are being followed. We don't allow guests or visitors who are not on the booking. The only exception to that would be Purdue parents that come in to visit their child. Their student can come and visit as long as they don't exceed the maximum guests. So other than that, I don't know. Any
Okay.
questions?
You may, if you want to stay right there, I'll ask to find out if there's anyone else wishing to speak in favor. Please come forward. You can sit down if you'd like for a minute. We may have some questions for you.
Hi, my name is Sofia Zuniga. I live in 4941 State Road 43 North, West Lafayette. And we're leasing the unit next to the Airbnb, and we've been living there for almost 15 years. We haven't had any issues. And I'm here to speak on behalf of Linda. And this is my daughter. She was 4 when we moved there. And I don't know if you guys have any questions regardless of anything, but I have 3 other, not children, adults now. But so far, I would not be living there if I thought it was unsafe, if I thought it was noisy. All my kids, I work crazy hours. We haven't had any issues with anyone. You know, sometimes they do park in our spot, but they kindly go and they ask them if they can move their vehicle, and they do. We never had any problems. I don't know if you have any questions for us.
Okay. Thank you. Do you need her to sign in? If you would, please. I forgot the, yeah. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition?
Good evening, Board. My name is Aaron Rothenberger. I reside at 4943, the house just north of this facility. I don't necessarily have an issue with Linda. My issue is with, yes, as she may have exterior cameras. They do not reach, from what I know, but I have a doorbell camera that reaches our front door there. And I have actual evidence on my phone that there are numerous people that speed past our house at irate speeds going 20 or 25, roughly. I've put this to a test, and it takes about 12 seconds if you're going 10 miles an hour on our camera to go past it. I have asked if there could be any resolution to that. She said she would buy a child plate at play sign or something along those lines. That has never been installed. My kids do play out front, and as she has graciously offered, and the boys never really listen to me, they drive their tractors out in that field constantly across that. And my fear is one of these Airbnb people are going to drive too fast one day, hit my kid, or both of my children. So I don't mind if it's there, I just want something in place to protect the children that are at play, more or less. The other concern is I was working in the backyard one day. I don't know if you know this or not. The back half of that building, about mid, if I'm looking at it correctly, it's kind of hard to see. About middle of the building, there's a 12, 13-foot section that the foundation is leaning out away from that building. As a firefighter, I see that as a hazard for anybody living there for that possible collapse. Just bringing that to everybody's attention so that they know that as well. Hopefully something gets fixed on it or at least looked into. I don't see any of the rod bearings that go through the block to hold it with a cable like you see here in town. Just want to make that known as well. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? And would you like to come up and rebut?
Yes, we are aware of the foundation. It has been reinforced under the dwelling. We had that done as soon as we bought the place. And the child at play, he is right. He did ask for that. I did tell him that I would get something, and then I totally spaced it. But we have no problem with his children playing in our vacant lot. You know, and as I said, the driveway isn't long enough for anybody to go drag racing. So.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board? If you agree with the conditions and commitment
Of course.
that are on there?
Of course.
And you will look into getting a sign that's something like Children at Play or something to help try and, we realize it's hard to control people that aren't, but if you, I mean, anything that you can do would be appreciated.
I'm a mom. I
Yeah.
understand his concern. You know, yes, they have a privacy fenced backyard. I understand that's not always workable when they're going to ride their tricycles and whatnot. I've always understood that. So yeah, I have no issues with that whatsoever. And before I step away, thank you, ladies, for all your help. It's changed a bit since I went through this before.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question for staff. At the beginning, you had commented that there's a long-term resident in one half, this is for the other half. In the event that the long-term resident would leave or something would change in that, does this only cover one half? So more or less, they can't just, if the other person moves out, they can't say both of them are Airbnbs, they'd have to come back here?
It's two different addresses.
Yeah, in my opinion, this special exception applies to just this single unit of the duplex.
Each unit has a different address.
Yeah. So they'd have to come back for another special exception to enlarge it to encompass both units.
That'd be my understanding as well. Any other questions? And I'm going to leave it up to you two to work out the Children at Play sign, whatever you want to do. If you guys can.
We've chatted.
Yeah,
He
you've
knows
chatted,
I'm
just a
not hard
matter
to
of-
get along
yeah.
with, you know. But yeah, I simply
It seems like you
spaced
get
it.
along, it's just something
Yeah.
that was,
I get along with
Yeah.
everybody. At my age, I can't afford not to. So, no other
it'd be
questions?
appreciated, and I'm sure he would appreciate if you
Yes.
guys could work something out there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. There are no more questions, we've got a ballot.
Six ballots cast, 6 yes votes.
Special exception has been approved with the conditions and the commitment. Administrative matters.
Well, we have a planning pointer if there is
Okay.
interest. So, Mr. President,
Sure.
okay. All right,
Still okay with the board?
yeah. We have a consensus?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. All right, this shouldn't take too long. Last month, we covered the first 4 findings of fact for variance requests. So we're going to continue the topic with the hardship finding. A hardship is defined by the ordinance as a, quote, perceived difficulty with regard to one's ability to improve land stemming from the application of the development standards of this ordinance, which may or may not be subject to relief by means of variance. In and of themselves, self-imposed situations and claims based on a perceived reduction of or restriction on economic gain will not be considered hardships. May sound familiar. The ordinance goes on to describe what a self-imposed situation could include, and they're kind of listed out in there, but it's essentially encapsulated under, for reasons other than the physical characteristics of the property. So that's something that you inherit when you buy a piece of land. It comes with whatever geography it has. So, and those are usually beyond your ability to change. So you may recall we had a variance request in 14, for those that have been around on the board for that long, which asked for a front setback of 14 instead of 25 feet for a roofed front porch. In that instance, the hardship finding that we laid down in our staff report said, and I'll just quote briefly here, strict applications of the terms of the ZO will not result in an unusual or necessary hardship. Though staff can concede that there will be no negative impacts on site distances or to the traveling public, there is nothing in the ordinance that guarantees a home has a front porch. So the use of the home is not substantially affected without a front porch, which that's the use, not necessarily the accoutrements that are on the building. Is it still a residence? Yeah. So additionally, the UZO permits stoops, so an unroofed porch, that to extend 2 feet into the front setback. So the petitioner could modify the site plan in that situation and not even need a variance. So the questions 5A and B in your ballot kind of touch on this, and we kind of talk about how a hardship is self-imposed and when it is not. So staff often finds it hard to the hardship findings to be the most difficult finding to justify. Most variances are self-imposed. Like the example we just listed. Instances where hardship was found typically include geologic hazards, something wrong with the property itself, platted drainage easements, or even outlots in a subdivision, all of which were out of the petitioner's control. And that's the key. Does the property owner have control over the situation, or is it outside of their realm? So. Other times, existing improvements on a property contribute to the necessity of the variance request. For example, a new garage addition can only go in a certain location due to the configuration of the dwelling and the public road access point, which is a key approval by the local engineer. In those cases, we often refer to them as being practical difficulties. The petitioner is adding on to their structure, but due to the existing conditions on the property, this is the only valid option. That builds the case for a hardship. And Indiana code does recognize that practical difficulties, quote, arise when the strict application of a zoning ordinance development standards prevents a property owner from using their land in a reasonable manner. So, so this is not merely a hardship, but something that is uniquely physical, spatial, topographical. Again, it's something that the petitioner does not have control over. So I mentioned a practical difficulty in our staff report is sort of a nod to whatever difficult situation a petitioner finds themselves in, but it sometimes cannot sway our recommendation of approval since we're charged with a pretty strict reading of the tests. So one item that we have, I guess, evolved on is the height issue, and the West Lafayette height issue is one that was most recently brought to the fore. It's been brought to the fore many times, but we're finally getting around to fixing it. So last paragraph here in our little report, for height variances in West Lafayette and most parking reduction variances in that locality, staff have used the ordinance itself as the cause of the hardship, essentially an outdated section of the ordinance that is no longer necessary. Its original writing was rooted in some facts on the ground that have changed, and so we just haven't gotten around to fixing the ordinance. So the height restrictions in the R3W and R4W are being amended. In fact, that's advancing to the APC, next month. So, in essence, you'll likely see far less variances for those sorts of things in West Lafayette, and that's always been a key. Just professionally for me is what are you taking the most variance cases for? If it's for certain items, that's usually a signal your community doesn't like that standard. It's not working, And if the variances are granted and not all hell is breaking loose as a result. Well, clearly, the health, safety, general welfare of the community is secure. This standard is antiquated, and so we need to change it. So variance case numbers for certain types of things are always a barometer for when you need to make a UZO amendment. So, like we are for the W districts here. So, any questions?
I think the major point about the height in West Lafayette originally was fire protection.
Yes.
And so that
original
no
height limit was imposed
relevant.
because of, I think, a fire chief,
Right.
long before I ever got here,
Exactly.
said that our apparatus cannot go, this is the height that we can work with, given our equipment. And I know when we had our first high-rise case, this question was put to the chief at the time, and he's just like, that ship sailed a long time ago. We're trained. We have the equipment to do high-rise fires. We're good. And so that, to me, that was that's all we needed to hear. Well, now this standard should probably be changed. And it is getting
Right.
changed, so.
And high-rises are built differently too, with standpipes
Precisely,
and
yeah.
sprinklers
It's a
and.
completely different build,
Yeah.
so. Anything
Ryan?
else?
For hardships, if you have a house and you want to add a garage, and the house is already existing, I could understand where, based on where the house is physically at, and maybe the board, or the lot line boundaries might pose something, that could be a hardship. If it's a new build, flat lot, I want a bigger house and I want my garage there. In the second case, would it still be a hardship versus, the first one you have an existing building? Is it just redesign your house?
Yeah, I would argue that once something's in the ground, well, now you have a practical difficulty to work with unless you plan on scraping the site and starting over. So if it is a greenfield site and you're building new and you're asking for a variance in advance, well, why not just change your plans? What's the reason for the variance? And if it's just, well, I just want a bigger house. Well, that's, from a variance standpoint, that's not a strong argument. That's just a, personal preference. You just want a bigger house. But if you have an existing house and, you're not planning on demolishing it, you're planning on adding to it. And as you said, it's in a sort of a compromised position to do much else with, given its location on the lot and the neighboring lot lines. And, certainly if there's a topography issue, well, then you actually have a pretty demonstrable hardship. But when you have an existing condition that you're dealing with, that you're having to work around, that makes a stronger argument for a practical difficulty. That staff in our report, we may do what we call a soft denial. Where we recommend denial, but only because it doesn't meet the tests by a pure reading of them. But clearly we're sympathetic. We just don't have liberty to do that, as professionals, to sort of disclose our personal feelings are irrelevant. We're here to analyze a case, analyze the tests laid out for us in state code, provide our professional recommendation. The board gets to they get to, think about their feelings on a matter if they want to. But they also at the same time have to also follow the tests and be ready to defend them, their responses in the event that you're sued. So and that's why we always try to caution our members to take it seriously. Don't always go with your gut. Go with the tests, because you're going to have to defend them. You want to be able to be in a position where you can defend your responses in court if called upon. So, does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
I was going to say, you can also have, the internal layout of the house when you're adding a garage on, how do you get to that garage?
Yeah.
I mean, could be.
Yeah, and our local,
an issue too.
and especially if
We've
it's a
had that
driveway
issue
curb
come
cut
up.
issue. I mean, the
Right.
local engineers are usually
Yeah.
willing to work with you. They're just concerned about site distance and make sure that your driveway doesn't hit a point on the street that might cause a collision, So yeah, if it's a greenfield site, you should try to work with, your
I know we had a
community.
we had a case recently where there was a couple that originally were looking at a different lot, and they designed a house, and then there were no lots available in that subdivision
Right.
that would fit that house.
Yeah, and as market demands shift, say ranch houses become the next thing, they're back, some people want really big, long, big, first, single-story homes. Then, the lot coverage requirements, setbacks, that's something we could discuss, at ordinance committee to talk about, what's appropriate lot sizes, not specific to any one person, but, just in general. Or if the development community is saying, hey, the market's saying this is kind of what we need, can you work with us on this? We'll try to, we do that all the time. We've invented zoning districts. The R1C is the latest one that was essentially a market-driven request. And we actually have some petitions been filed under it. So we'll see if, the fish are nibbling and people actually want to, buy these smaller homes on smaller lots, so. But yeah, the zoning ordinance is an organic document. It's supposed to ebb and flow with the community's needs and, and desires, and market demands. So all within reasonableness, so. All right, anything else? Otherwise, I do have one last administrative item.
Sure.
So Danielle passed her notary exam. So, so we will once again have a notary on staff at APC, so.
That's good.
Which will be very handy, especially, at APC last week, we
Yeah.
had somebody, I need something notarized, and, the same thing with today, so. She doesn't have her stamps yet, but she did pass the exam, so it's coming soon, so. Just wanted to congratulate her on
I
that.
know for a long time, staff had a notary. I don't remember who all they
I
were.
think Bianca was.
Yeah.
So she wasn't.
And I think there
yeah.
was somebody before that, too.
Yeah, going back in time, sure. Yeah, so.
I think staff
But
has found that it is well worth having somebody.
Yes, it
that
is, yes. And Danielle expressed
is a-
interest right at
that
the
is a notary,
beginning
yeah.
to accomplish that, so we're delighted that it's all
Awesome.
worked out.
Thank you.
So that's all, thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Anything else from the board? If not, I'll take the last motion. Oh, whoop. Unless any member has an objection, the chair will order the findings of each member casting a vote for the majority decision of the board to be the collective findings of the board in support of the decision of the board. Hearing none, it is so ordered. And now I will take the last motion.
I move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Remind me about oaths for these fine folks.